this whole area is just rough as a cob. And it's easy to go too far with these things, so it takes a bit to build the coordination, kiddo.
Still a little bit of a low spot.
Hey everyone, welcome back to drybonesgarage. This episode is a part of a series where me and my dad take a 63 Corvair and a G-body frame and combine them together to create a hot rod. In this episode we made our own slapper and used it on the rear quarter of the car some more. So I hope you guys enjoy.
All right, so we've observed that the car is in pretty rough shape. There's a lot of warpage and rippling in the sheet metal in this left rear quarter. And well, I've got some tools. I don't have all of the tools that I'd like to have. A couple weeks ago, I was watching another YouTuber, Carl Fisher, over at Make It Custom. He's a heck of a fabricator. Had taken a file, sanded it down, and reshaped it and turned it into essentially a slapper. So I'm going to attempt to do the same thing here, and I guess we'll see how that works out.
What's it look like?
Just took the worst of the ridges out of that side.
Huh.
This is going to be the back side of it, so I'm not that worried about it. And this thing, I've found this in the yard in Oklahoma.
You did?
Yeah, that's why I'm using this one, is it never was
Used for good condition?
It wasn't in good condition to start with. It's not sharp anymore. It is what it is. It was just a decent quality piece of metal, you know, and I thought I could use it for wood, and I have used it for wood, but that's about it. Ooh, that's warm.
What?
It's warm.
I want to touch it. My fingers are cold.
No, you don't. Well, you got gloves on, so.
Oh, that's actually kind of hot.
Yeah.
I don't want my gloves.
That's what I'm telling you. Unfortunately, my thumb is rebelling against me. Having a hard time hanging on to this thing.
Are your fingers cold too?
I'm cold. What is it, -7 right now?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Great White North. See, it's retempered.
Did you dump it in snow?
When you heat something up and then cool it slowly, that will soften the metal. It's called annealing.
Yeah.
If you cool it rapidly, it hardens the metal. That's called tempering. I just chucked that on the snowbank, so it's retempered. I want to narrow this up a little bit. It's a little unwieldy. I want to narrow this up just a tick. But as beefy as that is, and it's eating up the
grinder,
the flap wheels, I'm thinking literally just that off either side would make all the difference in the world. There we go. That looks a little better. Let's try and do that a little closer to. That's what I was afraid of. Okay. That might even be a little on the skinny side from there, but we can just put some weld bead across the top and maybe the bottom, add a little material if we need to. Whee! That warmed up quick. That said, it has a good feel to it. That's not bad.
What is that?
This is polishing compound. This isn't the ideal, but it'll work, I think.
What do the different colors mean?
I forget which one's which necessarily. If I recall, this is a fairly mild one. I had a more aggressive one.
So this will make it only a little shiny?
It'll work slower than, and we don't really necessarily need to do this, but this is harder metal than the sheet metal, right? So the smoother and more polished this is, the more likely to have a smooth polished finish when we're done with the car. Now, we don't have DA pads that are actually holding to the sander, and we won't have those for a few more days. Really need to get a actual bench grinder and a buffing wheel one of these days. But we do this so rarely that
It doesn't make sense to get them.
it's other things that need to be higher on the list of priorities, yeah. It's actually doing something. It's just kind of an awkward way of doing it. This is better for smaller pieces. I used this on the exhaust with the Malibu around the welds. I don't think we've used it since. Really should sand these, I think, before. I think skipping that step's hurting us.
Yeah, you like to get wet?
More of this texturing out, and I don't want to keep hitting it with the grinder
Yeah.
while that polishes up. I think for now we'll call this good, and then when we get those pads in for the sander, I'll hit those trying. There is some irregularity in that, though one would expect that digging this literally out of the yard. Hopefully we can take a little bit of that out with the sander, and then we'll come back and repolish it. But yeah, this, in theory, this, when you come in with the dolly and you start slapping the metal, that extends that pressure, that high pressure point across every high within range of this thing, and doesn't strike with the same amount of force, so it moves slower, or the metal moves more slowly, more controllably. I don't know how fancy we're going to get with this thing, but I figure as long as we have this in here and I've got the time, might as well expand the skill sets a little bit, do what we can. Yeah, I think when we finish that tool, that'll be a really nice tool and help us get this straightened out a little bit more. We'll want that spoon over here working this, I think, a little bit. But if you look down in the quarter, it doesn't show up a lot. One morning before you came out, I was farting around with this thing and working the dolly on the back side and the spoon across the front side. You remember how flat this was? It just kind of rolled out to a lip and that was it. I brought that whole crease back into the wheel arch, or shape, whatever you want to call it. It still needs refinement. It's kind of rolling out and then it's got an edge. So this needs to be kind of pushed down and in a little bit yet. But I mean, we're re-establishing that wheel arch the way it should be. That needs to be done. We've got to shrink this whole area. I bought a 9-inch shrinking disc, which is why we have those markers. That's something I wasn't aware of in the past. Is apparently, if you use magic marker on that acts as a lubricant, so you don't get the spalling and galling in that wheel when it's rubbing up against the sheet metal.
Oh, I thought you used that just for your high and low spots.
Use it for that too. That I knew, you know. That, but using it as a lubricant, that was something new to me. I'd never heard of that before. So we're gonna try that because we've got a nice big swell here, a nice big swell here, I think. And then this whole area is just rough as a cob. I've been working it and it's a lot less than it was. But if we can smooth that out a little bit more, the better this looks, you know, as far as straightness goes, despite everything else, the better the car is gonna look.
Yeah.
You know, even if it is rotting. So I'm trying to get the sheet metal work as nice as I can with my level of skills and abilities. And then we'll see what we do as far as how we finish the car, you know. If we paint it, then we can cover a lot with mud, if we want to. But then that means all kinds of other questions and, you know, do we want to keep a patina? I think your great uncle had suggested doing kind of a make it look like it had been reworked, but reworked a long time ago, and then let the rest come through. You know, we can attempt that. I've seen how some of the people that do the patina paint with rust do it. So, you know, we can attempt it. but that's going to be purely, again, another experiment. That's something I've never even thought of before. You know, I've seen people take really nice cars and then make them really look like crap.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to retain a certain level of the rough and then work with that, you know, that's new to me. So.
Well, were you going to talk about the fender and ask me a question about that?
I was.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts as far as this goes? I mean, there's still a fair amount of nitpicky. You know, at a glance from 30 feet, this doesn't look bad, but you get up close and you can start seeing a lot of the irregularities and ripples. Well, yeah, I bought some supplies. We've got a shrinking disc now, and I just made a slapper. There's quite a bit of work that could be done to this quarter. I mean, we still got rust up here that we could repair. The question is should we? This all takes time, it all takes effort. It slows the process down of getting this thing on the road. And the inner structure of this car, you know, we've built a fair amount up, but there's still a lot of cancer and tinworm inside the car. We haven't gone out or gone to the degree where we've absolutely eliminated all the rust. This is kind of a pounder. It was always intended to be a pounder. The question is where do you want to stop? How far do you want to go with this?
I'm personally okay with it where it is. It looks fine.
Okay. Do you want to try doing patina paint on this?
I don't know. I think it depends on the interior and what happens there.
Okay. I want to work that a little bit. We'll maybe work this a little bit more. I want to test that shrinker out, see if we can get this a little nicer, because this is getting really close and I'm kind of proud of it. I want to keep going with it a little bit. But we'll leave the rest of it alone. This is pretty close. A little ding 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 and some high build might cover a fair amount of the ripples, but we're still dealing with all of this right here. And we still got the rust holes that we're gonna leave in the car, right?
Right.
Okay, and then close it up, get it running, go have some fun with it.
Hey Dad, how does this shrink the metal?
It gets it hot.
How does he get the metal hot? Is it just
friction, literally friction. And the guy that was doing this, it was leading the class, was using a permanent marker that he rubbed all over the body to keep this from happening. I didn't put enough on there. I'm a little afraid of this, obviously, because I've never done this before, not like this. I mean, I've done some little spots with a little 4.5 inch, and I know it works, but I haven't seen anybody do this. And I've never tried using a monster, and it's easy to go too far with these things, so. Sand that off, see what it looks like. Don't want to go too far with it, because it isn't that bad. But that's where all the holes were, and we welded them shut.
What kind of holes?
When the car got hit, this area got folded in pretty well. I mean, you can see the remnants of the damage line got all the way up into here. I'm guessing somebody backed in or did something, started here, and this is probably the peak of the damage right here and then out. It literally fragged everything up to the corner from the door jamb. So they came in, as near as I can tell, and used an old school slide hammer that they actually drilled into the body. And you can see some of the holes here. There's one, there's one. There are a couple more in here that actually blended out pretty well that we welded shut. But I've been rolling the dolly in here to kind of act as a wedge and hold whatever area I'm working proud, and then working the metal down around it. Now with this, obviously we just made this, so I'm still learning how to use it. But if we can kind of get in here with the spoon, it's got a fairly wide arc to it. It's kind of hard to get that defined, nice, tight curve or recurve. So I'm thinking with this, we can actually get in here a little bit and start shaping it. And because it's straight, we should be able to work this arc a little bit cleaner and get it a little bit more sharply defined and even than I was having with that, but I was still having better success with that than I was just trying to use a hammer and a dolly, which is why I wanted to make this. And then we're back into what's right versus what we're trying to fix. And that does actually look like it's having an effect. All right. Want to give it a shot? You can't hurt anything on this quarter. Okay. So don't worry about making a mistake. You saw what I was doing, right? Kind of bring it in. You see the arc that's here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what we're trying to do is if you look over here, you can see at your head how this kind of is all just vaguely arcing into the body, or ramping more than arcing. We want to draw all of this area kind of down into a nice shape like so. So what's proud here, we want to push down and we want to kind of roll it into the lip and then sharpen this body line up and define it, okay? Without blowing through what's left of the sheet metal if we can help it, but if we can't, we can't. And that'll just be more patina. Now this, when you hit, you want to try and hit flat. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to, okay, you want to bring it in flat.
It sucks to hold up.
Now this one might be an easier one to use. It's a little sharper anyways. You can kind of set it in there and just place it where that body line feels right, and then use that. And if you're hitting really close to it, that'll kind of should start sharpening this body line if you're not banging on it. If you're banging right on it, you're going to start stretching metal.
Where am I don't know.
Keep going.
You're smart.
You're in there, you're trying. Keep going. It takes a bit to build the coordination, kiddo.
Is she holding that right? You have to hold it at the end, huh?
Whatever works for her. You know, once she can start manipulating it the way she wants it, it's everybody's technique is a little different that I've observed. Mine isn't even close to Dad's. I wish it was, because man, that guy. Oof.
I don't know if I'm making any difference, and if I'm making a difference, I don't know if it's good.
You know, you gotta keep trying, kiddo. Keep observing. Here, let me see it. It might be easier just to kind of stay up in this area right now. See, the way I'm hitting that is I'm just kind of glancing blows and I'm rolling it up. And I'm just pushing this in, and I'm letting the actual strike push the dolly away a little bit so I can drag it across the quarter. And all I'm trying to do is push this section of metal down to get even-ish with this in an arc. That's kind of the concept, that's the goal, right? If you look, you can see the metal starting to polish up a little bit where I'm striking.
Yeah.
You can see that? Just kind of try and keep it even if you can, and let this follow the body line, or actually create the body line by following the shape of the wheel well, okay? And then we get into trouble there. That's what's going on. That's where they close that body brace off, okay? Now if you look, you can see how that's already starting to tighten up a little bit. Get your head up against the car, look at the length. You can see the shape, how that's starting to push down a little bit and roll out. Looks different, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the goal. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, we're trying to define this line. This is actually, from where I'm sitting, it actually doesn't look bad. It looks pretty even right up to right about here where we got some wonky. But this all, from where I'm sitting, doesn't look bad. So what we may want to do now is we've got that semi-established. Let's come back and start literally whacking this. Does that look better? It looks to me like this is still wonky, like it's low and undefined. Right here. Looks like it might be a little low and rubbery here.
A little low.
Okay. Looks like it's starting to come a little bit proud. Looks like it's a little high here. Like this might be just pushing. Am I right?
I don't know. You're asking me about.
Aaron, get your eye in here. Why don't you take a peek too? Yeah, this whole ridge still looks a little rubbery and soft to me.
Yeah.
This looks okay. From about here to here, it almost looks like we should be getting up in the backside and slapping with the slapper and kind of trying to straighten this and push it out just a little bit. It looks like it's kind of, yeah, okay. It's like the straighter this thing gets, it looks better and it looks worse at the same time.
Like a little in here is still kind of.
That looks proud to me. Like this is kind of bubbling out and then everything else is kind of.
This might be a little low.
A little low here.
Yeah.
That's where that brace is. If we give that brace a whack, it might push that out, but we may.
Break it.
Well, we can take a block of wood and a 3-pounder and just kind of ease into it, see what happens. Is that helping?
A little bit.
Too much?
No, just I thought I heard something bubble when I pressed on it, like wobble. It's still a little low, but it's not as low as it was. Still a little bit of a low spot.
The whole thing. Okay. Yay, nay?
Yeah. I think that's as high as it's gonna get, but it seems semi-level. Everything. There's like certain spots that are like throwing me off.
There's a lot of wonky in there, and the question is just how far should we go to try and unwonky it? We're going to want to shrink this little area right here. That said, it's getting almost presentable. It's this guy right here. Yeah, that shrunk a lot. More than I would have preferred. Like depressingly too much.
So it's been a little bit since we've had this on film.
Since we've had time to be out here, it's been a few days.
Yeah.
There's still quite a bit in there we could do, if we're honest. How far do you want to take it, kiddo? Because I still want to close these up for sure. But if we can get this cold done, get that trunk closed up, that's pretty much 90% of the fabrication that we're going to have to do, I think. And now it's just getting into the mechanicals and starting to work on making the car run rather than make it a car. So, I mean, the quarter ain't great, but you know, you prime it, run it for a season, and you can come back, or, you know, once it's running, it doesn't matter. We can, you know, play with it periodically through the summer or whatever, depending. I'm kind of hoping we can do some adventuring this summer rather than just building.
Yeah.
You know, people that are watching us seem to like those videos a fair sight more than just the builds, which works for me because I'd prefer to be playing rather than, you know, pounding on this thing.
All the time.
Yeah, well, who doesn't like to play, you know? It's just kind of we all want the good times. So, you know, that's your call. How far do you want to go with this? Do you want to keep plugging at it?
What was that term that you were, mission creep?
Mission creep.
Creep,
You
okay.
keep going a little bit farther and farther and farther beyond original intention or design, and then have to reel it in.
Is this what this is again?
Yeah, really all I needed to do was this.
Yeah.
Get that in, get this closed up, get this fabbed in, and figure out what we're going to do for a rain channel or how we're going to deal with our need for some sort of weather strip back here. We've talked about that. We've got a plan, we think. We just need to verify that it'll work before we go too deep into anything else. Need to do the same on the other side, get that closed up. And that was the original intent. I don't know why I started stripping the rest of this quarter.
You don't remember?
I had a reason in my head, and it made absolutely perfect sense at the time. Always does. If I'm doing this, I might as well do this. But if I'm doing that, well, then I might as well do this.
Yeah.
Mission creep. And here we are, with a quarter I never really planned to strip. Stripped. Brilliant! So, yeah, other than that, we had our low spot in here. That's still, it's a little bit, shows a little bit there. We've got all the rust in this quarter. You know, we've got rust holes in the quarter that we're not planning on fixing at this point in time. We were going to let the rust be and kind of try to promote that coming back, or we've talked about other options that pretty much leave it alone, and if it does come back, it comes back. We haven't discussed really beyond applying a chemical rust converter to the car. We haven't discussed any other options to necessarily repair or replace the panels that are rusty in the car, in part because the tin worm is deeper into the car than we really want to go. We've already gone well beyond where we want to go, or wanted to go with this car. So it's kind of a digging in too deep situation that, again, just trying to figure out where to stop, when to stop. And the fancier it gets, the more you got to watch it, the more you got to babysit it, the less fun the car is. The rot boxes are, they ain't pretty, and they don't necessarily get the, oh, that thing is beautiful, but they do still get a lot of attention. They do still get the likes and the love, and people think they're cool, so.
Well, I hope you guys liked this episode. If you did, then please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. We also want to thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. That was pretty awesome. It's kind of cool that I can say that we've gotten that many.
Unexpected.
Yeah, in our lifetime, which is pretty cool. And on YouTube, once you hit 1,000, you're able to make money off of the ad revenue. We
can start earning off of these videos. That said, at our volume, it's a small number, but as the channel grows, if the channel grows, we can start bringing, you know, getting into bigger projects, get better tools, do more, do it faster, do it better. Start investing that money back into the channel. Yeah. And hopefully bringing you content that, for those of you that have been following us, that maybe you like a little better than what we've been doing. That's the hope anyways. Yeah. So thank you all for hanging with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your input, comments. Again, we really appreciate it. We're learning as much from you guys as some of you others are commenting that you're learning from us. And that's exactly what I hoped for. I'd like to see the community grow. Anyways, I hope you all have a beautiful weekend and a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.